friends, I'm Kyla and welcome back to the Infinite Library. So today I'm going to be doing my May TBR. I was going to say April then, but I'm in April right now when I'm filming this, but that is not that TBR. So I have some ambitious plans for May. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all these books, but I'm feeling motivated and inspired after Magical Readathon, so we'll see. So essentially I already had a kind of a project in mind for the month of May, which is a manga challenge. So I'm not going to show you all the books I'll be reading, but here are a couple of them. And I'm going to be doing a 30 in 30 manga challenge. So these are just probably half of them or something. These are just the ones I happen to have physically at this moment in time, but I have a couple of others that I need to pick up still from the library, and a couple of others that I'm just going to have to read digitally because I couldn't buy all 30 manga essentially. And weirdly enough, the libraries in Manchester are not amazing in terms of sourcing manga, unfortunately. So a lot of these I had to either buy or I had to source digitally. But I'm really excited for that. However, there's an event happening at the end of May which has put a little bit of a wrench in the works in terms of me reading and has given me a whole new TBR essentially. On top of that 30 manga that I'm planning on reading. There is an event at the end of May going into June in Scotland called Chimera, and it is a book event essentially. And there's a whole bunch of authors, some authors that I already really love, some authors that I've been wanting to read their books for quite a while going there. And I'm also going with a friend of mine, Jules Gemhart. We're going together to that. And I'm just really excited to see all the authors talking about their books, see them talking about the different themes and stuff. And it sounds like it's going to be really fun. But I want to do my homework for this, so there is no way I can read every single author's book, but I picked out a bunch of the ones that I'm most interested in reading who are going there, and I've managed to source them mostly through the library, to be honest. Some I did already own though on my shelves, so I have a tentative TBR for Chimera essentially, which is a whole bunch of books that I want to read for that. So I actually still have a couple in the library that I'm waiting to come in. But at the moment, these are the ones that I currently have that I want to try and read, but we'll just see how it goes essentially. I do have a good 3-hour journey or so to get up to Scotland from where I am, so I might be able to knock another book out on the way. And there's also a lot of authors there who I'm intrigued by, but their books aren't actually released yet because they're debut authors, and they're released around the time of the event, so those books I will not be able to read essentially. But these are the ones I have so far that I want to attempt to prioritize to manage to get to before the event. So the ones that I know I'm definitely going to get to because they're ones I'm just super excited for. I have 4 that I know I'm going to get to because none of them are massively long, and they're all ones that I'm either super interested in or I've wanted to read for a while. So first and foremost is Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I've wanted to do this for ages anyway, and this is finally the perfect excuse for me to read this. Everything about this is perfect for me, and I really hope I'll like it. I've heard some people say they love it, and some people say it didn't really work for them in terms of how the prose is. I think it's a second person, but essentially it is a story of basically one of Dracula's wives, and I think it is after his death, or she kills him, and it is actually a sapphic love story. Yes, it is the darkly seductive tale of Dracula's first bride, Constanta. This will be my first S.T. Gibson, but I'm basically interested in everything that S.T. Gibson's brought out right now, so I'm really hoping I love this as much as I'm kind of expecting it to. So that is a priority that I will definitely get to. Also gonna be reading, still the horror ones basically is what I'm most interested in, but I'm gonna be reading My Throat an Open Grave by Tori Bavolino. This is about a small town in Pennsylvania who fear the Lord of the Wood. And basically, I think this is kind of is this a labyrinth retelling sort of? Essentially, this girl who doesn't believe in the legend, her baby brother disappears into the forest. So she has to go and hunt him down, and she finds a devilish figure apparently who has haunted the town, and he tells her she can have her brother back for a price. So that sounds really interesting. I've been intrigued by this one for quite a while. I do prefer the American cover. I'll stick that there so you can see, but this one's nice. I just prefer the American cover. Same with Dowry of Blood, honestly. The UK cover is not a patch from the American cover. I also picked up this just the other day. This was one I was really interested in. It is a sci-fi, but I could not find it in any of the libraries whatsoever. So thankfully I was in Waterstones the other day and I happened to find this was the only copy in the shop, but I picked up Calypso by Oliver K. Langmead, and this is a sci-fi but with a bit of a twist. Also these gorgeous end papers. How nice are they? I wasn't quite sure about this one until I picked it up and I opened it, and it has some of the most interesting format choices I've seen. Like, it kind of looks like it's poetry, but it's actually not poetry. It is like a novella, and it tells this tale essentially of this woman called Rochelle. She wakes from cryostasis inside a colony ark called the Calypso, but she wakes up and she finds out the ship has actually been transformed into a forest populated by the original crew's descendants who revere her like a saint. So this sounds like a weird like sci-fi meets nature kind of mix, and I'm just so intrigued, so I really hope I'm gonna love this. The last one that I'm gonna really try and get to, just because this one sounds fun as hell, is 13 Ways to Kill Lulabelle Rock by Maud Wolfe. And this is another sci-fi actually, and essentially this is a whole thing about a washed-up film star called Lulabelle Rock, and in this time period basically people make clones of themselves, and there are 12 of her, and then a 13th one shows up who is an assassin, and I don't know if that's who she is or if it's the original, but essentially I'm guessing she has to kill this assassin or kill all the other clones before it kills her or something like that. But it sounds like a really good time, and it's a really fun cover as well. So those are the 4 I'm prioritizing. I do have another one which I am reading this month, hopefully, because it's part of my Magical Readathon TBR, and that is City of Stardust. This was also going to be at Chimera, but I should be finishing this off in April, touch wood. I then have a few more that I've picked up that are either ones I already own, or I'm just interested in them, and I will try and get to these, but they are not my priorities. Some of them are quite chunky, but I'm going to at least try like a chapter or 2 of them so I have an idea on if it's a book that I think I'm going to enjoy, so I can kind of engage a bit more with the author's discussions. But I have Sister Song by Lucy Holland. This is a Viking fantasy story that follows a trans protagonist, and I've had this on my to read shelf for a while, and something just stops me from picking it up. I don't know what it is. I've never been super interested in Viking era stuff, but this does sound interesting, so I'd like to try and get to this one as well. I picked up, I think this is a new release, A Market of Dreams and Destiny by Trip Gailey. This is a gay fantasy essentially. The premise is like super long on the back here, but essentially it's set below Covent Garden where there is this like mysterious market, but everything has a price. As a child, Derry was sold to one of the market's most powerful merchants, and now after years of servitude, he spots a chance to buy not only his freedom, but also his place among the market's elite, when he stumbles into the path of a runaway princess desperate to sell her royal destiny. And it looks like he's trying to outmaneuver like a bunch of enforcers and stuff, and he's also just met the love of his life, a young man called Owain, who his employers are using the market for their own nefarious means. So yeah, it sounds really interesting. I've not actually heard of this before Chimera, but it sounds kind of up my alley. It's giving me like a Marvelous Light vibes. Even the cover is giving me Marvelous Light vibes, so yeah, I will hopefully try this. I also have 2 more physically at the moment. 2 of these are ones I already owned because they were book boxes, but we have Cage of God by Elizabeth May, which is about gods essentially, and infiltrating a palace. I don't know a whole lot more about it, but it was the February 2024 books, so it's quite a recent release. And I have The Principle of Moments, which is another sci-fi by Esme, I'm gonna mispronounce her name, I apologise, but Jikiemi Pearson, which I'm very interested in because this kind of like does time travel and goes between different time periods. It just sounds really interesting, so I'd really like to get to this one, but it is probably this one and To Gauge a God are like the chunkiest. I think they're around the 400 to 500 page mark or so. This one was the December Illuma crate for last year. So those are the 2 that are probably going to slip off this TBR just because they're chunkier. so I don't know if I'll get to them. I have a few others that I'm interested in getting to, but it fully just depends on time. I do actually have another that I am about to start reading, which is Till Death Do Us Barred by Rose Black, but I'll hopefully do that before May. And then the last ones I'm hoping to pick up from the library at some point is The Book of Doors, Bridge, which is a really interesting sounding sci-fi, which is fairly short, I think, so I might be able to fit that one in as well. I know To Gaze Upon a Wicked Gods should be arriving any day now via a book box. The Lighthouse Witches, the first book in the Atrocity Archives, and Children of Time, which is a Adrian Tchaikovsky book. His most famous, I believe, and I've never really read any of his stuff before. I know he's quite popular in sci-fi, but I never heard anyone actually talking about him. But I see him everywhere, and he's going to be at the event, so I feel like I should try at least one of his books prior to the event, because he's probably one of the biggest names going. So yeah, that is kind of what I'm going to be reading throughout May. So I'm going to be trying to fit in as many of these books as I can for Cymera, as well as reading a shit ton of manga. So in terms of any other books that I'm going to be reading, I was originally going to be reading Assassin's Quest for the Fits Along, but I'm going to push this back to the month after, as soon as this month has gotten very TBR heavy, essentially. I would like to start Empire of the Vampire. I might be able to begin it in April, but I'm not quite sure yet. I've just not had time to pick this up yet, but I'd like to get to this one as well. My book club book will also be picked in another week ago, so I will put here what it was that got picked for that. I was very sneaky and I did put at least one of the Cymera books in there, or maybe two, so hopefully it'll be one of those. If not, it'll be whatever is here, and I'll be trying to fit that in as well, basically. So that's it for the main TBR. The only thing I have left to do, which might completely destroy my TBR anyway this month, or it might just not get read this month, is that I have to do my TBR jar. So I got pretty lucky last month with a short story collection. I know there's a lot of chunky books still in here, however, so I'm a little bit terrified if I'm going to get a really chunky one, in which case I will probably not finish it. But let's see what fate is picking for us. I'm gonna go for... Oh, it doesn't want to be picked out, this one. Oh, okay. Tempest and Slaughter, which is a Tamora Pierce book. It's the start of a new series, and I have an arc of it, which I found by pure accident, and I've had it for so long and I kind of want to read it, so let me just get it. Okay, this is it. So it's a really nice arc. I haven't read Tamora Pierce in years. I think I mostly read like her Lioness Quartet books, and I don't really know a lot about what this is about. This came out back in like 2018 apparently, according to this little postcard that's inside it. I've not heard anyone talking about this series though. Oh, okay, this is apparently an origin story, which I didn't realise. The never before told origin to Tamora Pierce's mightiest mage is unveiled here. A prequel and introduction into Pierce's worlds. Readers will revel in the journey that young Aram must take to become the legendary yet mysterious Numer. Interesting. So it looks like this person starts off in like a university, and then his talents kind of grow and stuff. But he ends up forming a friendship with a prince, and that is that, I guess. So yeah, book one in the Numer Chronicles is this. I think it's got 2 books out at current. Oh, that's got a nice little map. That's nice, and like a little like guide for what happens to them. So it's nice and floppy. The text is quite big in this. It is about 400 pages or so, but it kind of feels like it'll be an easy read. So I'm not too upset, but we'll see if I get to it this month or not. It might end up shifting over to the next month. But yeah, that is my TBR then for May. Wish me luck with it. As I said, my priority is going to be the manga project, and then I'm just going to try and read as many of the other books for Cymera as I can. Thankfully the ones I'm most excited for are also the shortest books, so I'm fairly sure I'll be able to get through those, like the 4 or 5 that I'm most excited for, and then anything else will be a bonus, and then hopefully I'll get to this as well. So, small update. I went to the library and I picked up my other 3 books for Cymera, which we'll see if I get to them. So this is the one I'm most excited about, which is Bridge by Lauren Bukes. It is kind of like a sci-fi thing. It's thicker than I thought it was going to be though, so we'll see, but I love the cover. It's so cool. I picked up Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And I also picked up The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. So yeah, interested in all of these. We'll see how many I get through, I guess. So yeah, that is it. As always, stay safe, stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!